Hey guys, and welcome to the second episode of Everything Funky Friday, where I'll be going over the basic fundamentals of the game, keybinds, settings, beginner songs that you might want to play to improve at the game. We're going to start with settings. So we open our settings tab over here, and we see quite a few things. The main things you'd want to look at to begin with is if you're running on a low-end PC, you're going to want to turn on some of these things like disabling the materials, the shadows, the props. You'd want to turn off spectate mode as well. And then you'd also want to hide the lobby. And another way to increase FPS or to reduce lag is to also hide the map while you're playing the song. Okay, so over to note settings, which is where the most fundamental settings in Funky Friday are. I'm going to first go over arrow speed or note speed. I personally don't always have mine at 1.55, I have mine more at 1.7 personally. But if you're just beginning to learn 4-key rhythm games, I'd probably recommend sticking on the default 1, just to start with. However, more professional players tend to use higher note speeds for more note clarity since it's more spaced out. So the next thing that we're going to want to look into is arrow size. And this is the size of which the receptors on the game are while you're playing them, and also the size of the notes as they come down the screen. Personally, I'd want to have this one a little bit higher than the default 1. 1.1, 1.2 maybe, just for a little bit of extra note clarity. But either way is fine. Lane offset's not really something I'm going to get into today, but this is just the space between the notes as they're coming to you in the game, essentially. And then the height offset, I don't recommend touching it. This is just, say for example, 0 is where the receptors of the notes are at the bottom if you're using down scroll, or at the top if you're using up scroll. Putting this on like 30 is going to move the notes up if you're on down scroll, or down if you're on up scroll. Of which, those settings I'll get into after I explain keybinds. Keybinds. Now there's a couple, personally this comes down to preference, but there's a few that I'd recommend trying out. DFJK, ZXNM is another one I find pretty good. ASKL even. And just things like that, Personally, I've used ERIO at one point. But personally right now, I just use D, F, J, and K. Now the next thing we're going to get into is note style. So you can see that there's a bunch of different note skins that you can choose. This generally comes down to preference, but in my opinion, for the best note clarity, I choose circles. I don't know, some people like reading arrows a lot better than what they like reading circles, and that's personally just up to you. Color, however. Personally, if we go into here and search up notes under a fucking type, hold on. Note underlay transparency. Oh shit. It's note something. To search up transparency. Yeah, scroll underlay transparency. I'd recommend setting this to 0, so this will put a black background over your notes as they're coming down the screen, which combined with a white note skin like what I'm doing here allows for a lot more note clarity so you can read what's actually coming down the screen as it's coming to you. Okay? So that's another way to get going. What I'm going to get into next is just a few little optimization settings, things that you might want to get right. Obviously, this is just game modes. If you want to play around with note mechanics like death notes and deathmatch and song rates and extra keys and all that. Extra keys I do not recommend getting into on just beginning though. I'd recommend starting on 4-key. But that's personally just up to you. Optimizations, of course, I've already gone through and told you all about it. Gameplay. Personally, I would turn off toggle camera movement. This is just where between the turns, let's say for example if it's your turn on a song, it'll move the camera over towards your side. However, if let's just say on the opponent's side, their notes are coming up and it's their turn on the song, the camera will move over to them. So this is why I recommend turning this off, because it can be quite distracting as you're trying to play the game, especially on a higher level. And also I'd recommend turning off camera directional movement, which is just camera movement based off of the animation's current direction. So like, let's say for example, if you've hit left and your animation moves left, the camera's going to slightly move left along with it. You know what I'm saying? Same goes for down, up, and right. The bot, I don't know, turn on the bot if you want it. You can set on the accuracy. I don't really care about that. Instant animation shake, toggles hold shaking for animations. Whatever you want to do with that, I don't really care. Walk speed, I'd just put that at the max, so you can walk faster to the stage. Hiding the seated players, making the seated players invisible while battling on the stage is also significantly important for focus, so you don't just see them popping up. I don't know why this is turned off by default, but ghost tapping. You have to have this on if you are going to play this game. I swear to God. Literally. Just turn it on. And let's just say, for example, if you've got a string of left, down, up, and right notes, let's just say that in an ascending pattern repeating itself, you can tap those keys a couple of extra times without it missing. Obviously, you can't just straight up spam it, but it just allows for a little bit of extra leniency with extra inputs. Opponents, and also middle scroll. I swear to God, middle scroll is the thing you want to have on. Middle scroll puts your notes in the middle of the screen, which is a lot more easier for your eyes to focus on. So that's what I would do. And I'd turn off visibility of the health bar, but down scroll is another one that you want to have on. Actually, it's more of a personal preference thing. Most people play on down scroll, but if you feel comfortable playing on up scroll, go ahead, but turn off the miss note sound. I swear to God. It's just a good idea. The hit note sound, sort of a preference. I would have this off, because it's just distracting hearing it. But I mean, it's alright. And obviously, I'd have the info bar and everything on, so you can actually see your accuracy, misses, and combo. The opponent's info bar, if you want to look at that while you're playing, just to see if you're winning or losing. The accuracy gauge, I don't really play around with that. Display judgment statistics is good as well. Personally, I have note effects turned off, so then the little sparkly effect whenever you hit a note, and it's only when you hit 6, so like perfectly on time notes, it'll do it, hence why I don't really have it on. If it did it all the time, I'd probably have it on. But hit accuracy indicators, yep, I'd have that on. Colored hit accuracy indicators enables colors on the hit accuracy indicators. Doesn't really matter, but. And also another one you'd want to have on for if you start playing on a higher level is to enable your note hit time in milliseconds. So when you hit a note, let's just say you hit it 2.4 milliseconds early, it'll say it like negative 2.4 milliseconds. It's good to have. Viewing your opponent, I wouldn't really do this. This is not worth really. Actually, I'd arrow fade. Arrow fade and pressed arrow glow. Arrow fade is when you release a note and it sort of does that like fade off, as opposed to just instantaneously not being lit up anymore, if you know what I mean. And also the pressed arrow glow, there's like a strong glow whenever you're pressing in notes. By default, I'd recommend turning that off as well. And in advanced settings, personally, for the longest time, the only thing I'd actually change, for the longest time, my hitbox offset was at the default 0 milliseconds. But personally, I found it a lot easier to hit notes more accurately when I put this on 40. So I'd recommend just experimenting with it between 20 and 40, just figuring out where you want to go, maybe even higher, depending on what you want. But this is for when you get more advanced into the game anyway. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be trying to release these tutorials within maybe once a week, if that. But next episode, I'll start going over some more advanced techniques, more song-specific sections, and anything else you guys might want to see. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time.